So in this video, I want to share some of my feelings about what's happening in the world, my perspective, my understanding. I think it's important to do that, to share with one another. That's why I created the channel, to not only share best practices for living, but share experiences, right? If we don't share experiences, we don't connect with one another. We don't share this common human experience with one another. We're all having a human experience. And it's important to talk about our individual human experience, right? It helps me immensely, excuse me, it helps me immensely when I hear another human being share their experience. I relate to them. I understand them. What I'm seeing in the world right now, it doesn't make sense to me, right? And it's globally. If it was just in one country, I could get it, right? I mean, there have always been countries that do things very differently. Let's take North Korea, for example. They're an anomaly in the world, right? Let's take Venezuela, for example. They're another anomaly in the world. But I'm seeing this happen in multiple countries. This, the way that they're approaching COVID, the way that they're handling it, the way politicians are talking. Recently, Austria has announced, the Austria, what are they, a chancellor, prime minister, president, I think it's a chancellor, said that probably, it may be certain, I don't know, and probably in February 1st, they're going to start giving mandatory vaccinations to people. That bothers me. That really bothers me. For a problem that has a 99 point something % chance of survival for healthy people, and even a high 90s for people with comorbidities or people who are elderly. It bothers me. I don't understand it, right? I don't get it. Meanwhile, all these nations are pushing this agenda to get people vaccinated I almost feel like they want to get everyone vaccinated, 100%. Knowing in my heart that that's never going to happen. There are some people, I'm including myself in that group, that are never going to take it. I don't care how much you want me to take it. I'm never going to take it. I just don't want it. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't think about it. And I had COVID, and it was a really shitty experience. And I will admit, during that experience, I thought for a moment, maybe I should have taken the vax. But after I got through it, I was like, I'm good. Some people just don't ever want it, right? I mean, I don't eat hydrogenated oils. I try not to eat dairy. I'm very specific with what I put in my body. I'm not going to take something that I don't know what it is and I don't believe in what it is. I just don't want it, right? So I feel for those people in Austria who don't want it, right? My thinking about this whole situation is this. We're 2 years in. Let's move on. The people who took the vaccine took it good. I'm glad they got it and I'm glad they have it. The people who didn't, good. I'm glad they didn't, and let's move on. Let's move on. I feel like politicians and public health administrators are continuing to beat this thing into the ground. In my mind, we're done. We're done. Now, if this were a more aggressive virus or a real pandemic, like real in quotes, that didn't have that high survivability rate, it may be a different story, but it's not, right? I mean, all the time we hear people that are in their 80s and 90s beating this thing, right? And especially now, 2 years in, that doctors have learned how to treat it effectively, right? We're not seeing the deaths that we did in the beginning when doctors were like totally flabbergasted on how to treat this thing, right? We're not seeing that. We know more about it. We understand more about it. But I've had questions from the very beginning. Where did it come from? Where did it really come from, right? We know now that the wet market story was pretty much a fabrication, right? We just know a lot of things that we were told about the situation. And even the CDC has admitted to falsifying some numbers and fudging them up a little bit. That's suspect to me. It's suspect to me when we don't know where this thing came from specifically. It's suspect to me how it's been rammed down our throat very aggressively from the beginning when the vaccines came out. Why are they pushing so hard to get this vaccine into people? It's suspect to me. It makes me very resistant to what they got going down. Why can't we get past it, right? It just doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. And then add on to the situation that certain parts, I'm going to speak specifically of the United States, I don't know what's happening in the rest of the world. I can only imagine certain parts of our country are basically eroding. I'm talking about New York, California, Oregon, Seattle. There may be other places in there, but the fabric of those cities and states are eroding right before our very eyes. People are fleeing by the thousands. Corporations and big earners are leaving those states and going to places like Florida and Nevada. That's a problem bigger than COVID. See, here's my thing. If things continue down the trajectory that they're going right now, we're going to look back and COVID's going to look like a walk in the freaking park compared to the total destruction of our society and cities and families and the division that it's sowing in our nation. We're going to wish we only had COVID to deal with. If inflation keeps going, if crime keeps going in those states, if the lower spectrum of our population keeps experiencing this COVID thing, right, where we just can't get past it. Because remember, to very wealthy people, shutting down for 2 weeks or closing the economy to a degree doesn't even affect them. It's nothing. They enjoy the time in their homes, right? We all saw it during lockdown. Wealthy people were living their best life. What were people who were in poverty states at the lower end of the economic spectrum living? You know it's their worst life, right? Their worst nightmare. Yet no public officials were talking about it. All the years prior when the government has had a war on poverty and a war on crime, it was front and center. We got to help these people. We got to help these people. Now, when COVID comes around, you don't hear anything about it. And that's just in the United States. I don't even want to think about people at the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum in other parts of the world, where the aid stops flowing, where the focus stops going there, who depend on food from wealthier nations and wealthier organizations to live. You never hear about that anymore. It's only COVID 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'm over it. I'm over it. I was over it from when it started. It was a small nuisance when it started to me. And I'll admit in 2020, I got a lot of shit done. And I used that time to create a lot of stuff. And I didn't think about COVID. I don't think about bullshit like that. It has zero consequence to me. When I got sick, it sucked. I got over it. I'm better. I'm done. Hopefully if you had it, you're better too. And and you saw the blessings and positive experience in that quote unquote negative experience. I certainly did. I'm probably going to make a video one day talking about my COVID experience. Because again, I think it's important to share experiences, because what we're getting from the media and the politicians, I think is a load of crap, right? I don't think they're sharing what's really going on. I don't think we're getting the full information. My point of this video is something doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't sound right. Why can't we get over it? Let's move on. The economy needs to get back running full speed, right? We can't have rampant inflation and also an economy that is crippled by constantly focusing on the COVID. We're 2 years in. And another thing that bothers me, I'm over it. The fact that employees who work at at certain restaurants or grocery stores, and the patrons do not. Now, some choose to wear it. I don't choose to wear it anymore. And it's not because I don't respect COVID. Like I said, I had it, it sucked, I respect it. But I'm also not going to live my life in fear from it. And I didn't before, and I'm certainly not going to start now. Because I know that fear doesn't stop death. It only stops life. One of the Gracies said that. Brilliant quote. Fear doesn't stop death. It only stops life. And I'm not going to live that way. I've lived enough of my life in fear. When I started waking up years ago and started stepping into who I want to become and nurturing the seed within me that was always there, but I was too afraid to water it, I've already lived that life in fear. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. The media is sowing fear. The government is sowing fear. Well, they're sowing fear and division. And that pisses me off too. This whole talk about two classes of citizen that New Zealand's president has already talked about, Australia's president, and now Austria is going down that road. And of course, our administration in the United States is certainly talking about it. I'm not down with that. I'm not down with two classes of citizens that are arbitrarily made up of vaccinated and unvaccinated. I'm not down with it at all. The other day, I was in a restaurant with a friend, a local restaurant, not a chain, a local restaurant. And the waitress, none of the restaurant staff, and I said to her, it's refreshing to see you employ. I like seeing you. This is refreshing and encouraging to me. And she said, yeah, well, we're a local restaurant. They did away with that a while ago. Again, COVID's a real thing. It's a thing. But how long are you going to live in fear? How long are we going to live in fear about it? How long are we going to keep talking about it? I believe that life is a reflection of our consciousness, right? Life is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. If you keep this idea in your head that there's a killer virus out there and it may kill you, that's going to inhibit your experience in life. No doubt. Same thing with cancer, right? I sometimes think about this, how I would handle certain situations in my life if they presented themselves. And you know what? For the most part, what I can say now, not having been there, not having done that, the same thing I went through COVID. Because I know that. I don't give a shit. I don't think about it. I don't care about it. Yeah, I talk about it because it's a thing, but I didn't change anything about my life. Honestly, I didn't change anything about my life. I refuse to do that. One of the problems that I think, it's not a problem, it's an observation. One of the observations is this. People are very afraid of death. And that's a common thing that's always been. You know what? I'm not happy about it, but I'm not afraid of it. I'm not going to change anything that I do to avoid death, because you know what? You can't avoid it. You cannot avoid death. It's going to happen. Years ago, I heard Gabby Tulsard say this, that one of the signs on a billboard, I think is what she said, coming out of one of the bases in the Middle East, said, "Is today the day?" And what that means is that it reminds those servicemen and women that you might not come back from this mission. Now, I can't even fathom actually living that experience, but in a way, we all do live that experience every day. And for years, I still have it there. I still have it taped to my light switch as I go out my door. Is today the day? Like, are you not going to come back today? Are you happy with the life that you've lived? Are you happy with who you are and what you've done? Because you might not come back. Are your affairs in order? That's life. That's life. I feel like nefarious people who are sowing these seeds of chaos and fear and division in our collective consciousness are utilizing fear as a weapon against us and causing people to do things they otherwise wouldn't do. Because I'll be honest, I haven't seen the death and destruction that I'm being told is happening. And one thing that I do in my life is I don't take other people's word for anything, unless I see it or know it or experience it myself. I don't. Especially the mainstream media, who has a history of manipulating us through weaving stories that are crafted in such a way to make us believe certain things. And I certainly don't listen to politicians who have a history of lying to us and deceiving us on every level, every chance they can get to further their own agenda and the agenda of the people who are running them. Never. And while we're on the topic, I'm never going to trust a pharmaceutical company who has a history of deceiving and misleading and making fraudulent claims about their products, marketing them in unscrupulous ways. It's just never going to happen. Like, for me, it's very clear. I don't trust those people because they haven't earned my trust. Until they earn it, I'm not going to give it freely. I don't care how much fear they put into my mind, because it doesn't work on me. It doesn't work on me. I've already, and I realize some people haven't done this yet. There was a point in time where I hadn't. I've already accomplished what I want to accomplish in life, and everything now is cherries on the top of the sundae. And what I mean by that is, I always wanted to make videos, and I always wanted my own talk show. And in 2017, I launched that. And in 2013, I started my YouTube channel, and I created the things that were in me. And so if I die today, I'm going to die happy. Leonardo da Vinci says, just as a well-spent day brings peaceful sleep, a well-spent life brings peaceful death. Something to that effect. I'm going to die happy. I'm going to die with zero regrets. Everything now is just cheddar. On top, just cheddar, vegan cheddar, not dairy cheddar. Yeah, quite frankly, I'm over it. I'm at my wit's end with it. I don't like seeing people continually lied to and misled and in fear. I don't like that. I don't like seeing what's happening in other parts of the world, even though I don't live in those places. We're all connected. I'm connected with those people energetically. You're connected with those people energetically. I don't like seeing that. And I'm not going to do nothing. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to suppress myself anymore because I may alienate someone, or I may cause someone to feel like I'm targeting them. Here's the thing. I realized this the other day. Remembered it, quite frankly. We're not the enemy. Vaccinated or unvaccinated aren't the enemy. Politicians, corrupt politicians, and corrupt public health officials are the enemy, but also the real enemy is who's behind them, right? These are the globalists, the elites, even though I hate that word, I just hate it. The large corporations that have vested interest in what's happening, the large pharmaceutical companies, the global bankers, the banking cartels, specifically that run the Federal Reserve, and that, of course, with the dollar historically being the currency of choice and the benchmark for the world, they then, of course, run everything in the world, right? It's weird to think about the world we live in, You know, it's really weird to think how we could find ourselves here in this situation. These are just my thoughts, but at the end of the day, I'm not down with it anymore. I'm not down with it. I never was. But I went along, I played along to mainly to appease my fellow citizens in America, right? I didn't give a shit about it. I didn't think about it. Didn't affect my life at all. It only recently has started to really get on my nerves. It's like a little thorn in the side that's always there, right? I'm still living my life. I'm still doing my things. I'm still going where I want to go. I haven't really changed anything since learning about this in 2020. And I don't plan to. But over time, like I said, the thing that bothers me the most is seeing how it affects other people and seeing my fellow human beings being played with. I'll say it, being played with, being manipulated, being coerced, being shamed and guilted into doing something they don't want to do. I'm over it. I never really bought into it. You know, how long is it gonna go? And another thing, I don't understand how, if the vaccines have only been around for a year, how some parts of our world, specifically Israel, how they're 3 and 4 boosters in. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand a lot of what's going on. So that's my thoughts. I hope this video finds you well. And I hope that you gain something from me sharing my experience and the things that I'm feeling, the things that I'm seeing. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think, what you're seeing, what you're feeling. The other day, I posted a video on my TikTok account at gmarkphillips. And it got a lot of responses, and I'm seeing there's a lot of people that see the weirdness of this situation too. And not only that, but the detrimental aspects of this. And if we're going in this direction, that is not a good direction, right? So thanks very much for hanging out with me in this video. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, all that jazz, you know the drill. Until next time, I wish you all the best health, wealth, and success, and stay fearless, speak your truth, share your experience. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.